Now, the US President-elect Donald Trump has had his victory certified by his defeated rival, Kamala Harris. Speaking in the House chamber earlier this evening, the vice president confirmed Trump will be taking office later this month. Well, the occasion was a stark contrast to the scenes from the certification of Trump's defeat against President Joe Biden 4 years ago, when the Republican supporters tried to block the democratic process by violently storming the Capitol building itself. Also, just to remind you that in the last hour, it's been announced that a judge in New York has denied the president-elect's request to postpone his sentencing for his hush money conviction, which is due to take place on Friday. Well, David Charter is the Times assistant US editor. Good evening to you, David.
Good evening, Carol from Washington, D.C.
Great to have you with us. It was a very smooth, very dignified certification of the election result tonight, in marked contrast to the scenes 4 years ago.
Yeah, the only thing that threatened to disrupt it today was the weather. We've had a really heavy snowfall in Washington, D.C., and it's been quite hard to get about the capital. Apart from that, it was a normal transfer of power in America, much like in 2016 when Trump was first declared the winner of the election, following a rather boring formal process where the results from each state are confirmed and the number of votes in the electoral college that they award to the winning presidential candidate and the winning vice presidential candidate in their states are all just formally read out one after the other and confirmed as correct. It took about just over 30 minutes. They went through every state. There was no objections to any state, as there have been. Obviously, 4 years ago, there was an effort to reject some of the state results by some Republicans, although that petered out. There was going to be a lot more of a fight in the chamber until the massive riot disrupted proceedings and delayed them by several hours. But this time it went through without a hitch. And although her smile was rather fixed and rueful, Kamala Harris, the vice president, in her role as president of the Senate, did her job. She was addressed, by the way, as Madam President throughout, which I guess must have been a little ironic.
Yeah, indeed. But still, those scenes that we saw at the January the 6th riots of 4 years ago are still very much at the centre, aren't they, of a political battle. And there have been a lot of questions about whether Donald Trump is going to come into power and then simply pardon many of those who've already been convicted for their parts in those scenes.
Ever since that day, there's been a fantastic battle to write the narrative of what really happened. And so, of course, we had the immediate impeachment of Trump just a week later, where he was impeached in the House for incitement to insurrection, but he was acquitted in a Senate vote a month later. Because 43 Republicans voted not guilty on incitement to insurrection. We had the bipartisan House inquiry investigation that in late December 2022 pinned the whole thing on Trump, said it all came back to him. If he had not insisted the election was stolen and spoken at that big gathering of his supporters on the morning of January the 6th, there would have been no attempted insurrection, in the words of that committee. However, Trump his rhetoric has changed from the day after, when he criticized those who defiled the Capitol, as he put it, on January the 7th, 2021, to this election campaign, calling it a day of love when nothing serious happened at all. And that rhetoric of Trump's, his very forceful repetition, that it downplaying the storming of the Capitol, has seen growing numbers of Republicans, according to polling, accepting his version of events, that it was mostly peaceful. We've seen well over
there
a
were
quarter
what?
of Republicans going along with that.
Yeah, but there were several hundred convictions, weren't there, over the events of that night?
Oh, more than 1,000 convictions, 250 jail sentences. well over 100 still in jail, we think. And they are anticipating on the very first day of his second term that they will be pardoned and that the gates of the Washington, D.C. jail will be flung open. That's something that Trump promised during 2024. Not so much during the campaign. I think he was a little nervous of repeating that too much, but it's certainly a massive expectation among the faithful supporters of Trump that there'll be these wholesale pardons. Trump himself has said he's considering pardons for most. He's not sure about all, but we'll learn exactly who on January the 20th.
Meanwhile, Trump's team are also battling over this sentencing due to take place later this week for his hush money conviction. The judge rejecting calls to postpone that decision.
Trump's team want the sentencing for the hush money convictions, the 34 felonies in New York. This is for hiding the money paid to Stormy Daniels to keep the story out of the public gaze during the 2016 election campaign. Well, they want that postponed indefinitely because there is a DOJ, Department of Justice ruling that a sitting president cannot be subject to any criminal proceedings. So if they manage to kick it down the road for another 14 days, that will effectively disappear the sentencing, and also with it the felony conviction. At the moment, although you hear Trump referred to as a felon, that's not official until he's sentenced, and that's the reason. One of the reasons why he wants so badly to delay and defer this sentencing. But the judge today was having none of it. He threw out the challenge from Trump's lawyers, but he can still appeal. He hasn't got much time to do so.
Yeah, just one legal battle to go. David, there's been a huge row here in the UK over Elon Musk's latest remarks about the Labour government and its response to the grooming gangs scandal. Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, clearly today decided that, as he put it, a line had been crossed and he was going to go on the offensive, talking about lies and misinformation. Is there any sense of whether the incoming president, Donald Trump, is actually happy to have such a close associate of his, Elon Musk, just using his platform to lay into senior figures in the Labour government, including the Prime Minister?
Well, actually, we don't know at the moment because this has really kicked off in a big way just in the last few days. Of course, this fantastic row that Elon Musk has generated from his platform, and seems a vendetta that he's struck up with Keir Starmer that he seems determined to pursue. And that's drawn in other figures in the wider Trump world who've come piling on in to say what a disgrace Starmer and the government are for not having another inquiry or an inquiry into the scandal. But it's really Elon Musk's own obsession, actually. We haven't seen Trump posting at all about this particular the matter of grooming and sexual exploitation, etc. So it's just another sign that Elon Musk is his own man. He's definitely not doing it because Trump actively wants him to, but whether Trump will try and curtail what he's doing will be a fascinating insight that we'll just have to follow and see how that goes, because of course the falling out of Musk and Trump has been widely predicted for a few weeks now and hasn't happened. Musk seems to remain as thickly in with Trump as ever, and he's become the free speech champion of Trump world.
And we'll have to leave it there. David Charter.
Whether that results in a big catastrophic falling out, we only time will tell, Carol.
And we'll definitely be back with you to talk about that if it happens. David Charter, the Times assistant US editor. Great to speak to you. Thanks so much.